So listening is not the act of hearing the words spoken. It is the art of understanding the meaning behind those words. When people say, you're not listening to me, and we simply parrot back the words that they were said, congratulations, your ears work. That is the act of listening. So listening is not the act of hearing the words spoken. It is the art of understanding the meaning behind those words. When people say, you're not listening to me, and we simply parrot back the words that they were said, congratulations, your ears work. That is the act of listening. But the art of listening is creating an environment in which the other person feels heard. Now, you notice what I said there. The other person, and I used an emotional word, feels, right? I don't want to know that you heard the words. I want to feel heard. I want to feel seen. I want to feel understood. And that is a learnable, practicable skill. So there are many parts of it. It's things like replacing judgment with curiosity, right? That's a hard thing to do. We're a pretty judgy group, right? To be curious why someone has a point of view. It's creating a safe space for someone to, as my friend Dia Khan calls it, empty the bucket. So even if we find what they're saying just reprehensible, right? You're never going to be able to actually have dialogue until at least one of the parties gets the opportunity to say everything without judgment. And as she calls it, emptying the bucket. And once somebody feels like they've completely said everything, then they're more apt to listen to you. But usually what we do is we defend, or we litigate, or we interrupt. We point out flaws in logic, which is just frustrating. And when you point out some flaws in somebody's logic, because we're all imperfect when we speak, and we all choose the wrong words at various times. And that's not what I meant. You know what I meant is what we have to say. Well, what if you know what you meant? Then why don't you say what you can see how this spirals. But it's things like when somebody says something, and there's really easy ways to do it. Things like, go on, tell me more. What else? And they keep talking. And you go quiet, they fill the space. And tell me more. Go on. And eventually, it's all out. And then there's a safe space for you to respond and express yourself in a constructive way. But that's correct. We do not teach listening. And listening is the way to build trust with someone. You make someone feel heard, they'll trust you. It is the way to find common ground in opposition, in simple cases in business, but in more complicated cases in national politics, or in global politics, or in war. Why do William Ury, who wrote Getting to Yes, he talks about the same thing. He goes, we have talk shows, but we don't have listen shows. He says we have peace talks, but what we really need is peace listens. And he, who's been at the table at the highest levels of peace negotiations, he said people show up and start demanding what they want, and that's how the negotiations begin. Nobody starts by saying, so tell me why you came here. There's a great documentary that I recommend to learn this. It's called White Right, Meeting the Enemy by Dia Khan. In a nutshell, Dia is a Muslim woman living in the UK who was trolled by white supremacists to the point where the police got involved because her life was at risk. They told her stay away from open windows. That's how bad it got. The way Dia responded was by moving to the United States and going to meet the white supremacists. And she brought her cameras. You can see it all happen in this documentary. And basically, she gave them a safe space to feel heard. Now, that sounds mad. Like, why should she give them a safe space to feel heard? They should give her a safe space. Yeah, fine, good. It's never going to happen. Dia sits down with these white supremacists and she gives them a safe space to feel heard. It's extreme listening. And I say it's extreme because, they hate her, They don't just disagree with her. They want her off the planet. And she lets them empty their bucket, as she calls it. And then conversation begins. And because they feel heard, they start to trust her. And as they start to trust her, she becomes a friend. And then it creates this paradox where I'm supposed to hate this woman, but I trust her and consider her a friend. And what you see is one by one, these white supremacists, these diehard white supremacists, start dropping out of the movement because they can no longer reconcile their beliefs with reality. And if it can happen in this extreme environment, then it can happen anywhere. And all that is required for us to cross political divides or, disagreements at work and things like that is one of the parties has to learn how to listen. It doesn't even require both parties to learn the skill. That's the amazing thing. And it is one of the most remarkable skills that anyone can learn. The power of listening. Yeah.
작은 성공이 모여 큰 성공을 이룹니다. 오늘도 이 성공 비밀을 노트에 필사하면서 성공적인 하루를 시작하세요. 한글 5번, 영어 5번입니다. 시작합니다. 나는 경청의 힘을 이해하고 모든 상황에 적용하여 더 나은 소통을 합니다.
I understand the power of listening and apply it in every circumstance to get better at communication.
나는 경청의 힘을 이해하고 모든 상황에 적용하여 더 나은 소통을 합니다.
I understand the power of listening and apply it in every circumstance to get better at communication.
나는 경청의 힘을 이해하고 모든 상황에 적용하여 더 나은 소통을 합니다.
I understand the power of listening and apply it in every circumstance to get better at communication.
나는 경청의 힘을 이해하고 모든 상황에 적용하여 더 나은 소통을 합니다.
I understand the power of listening and apply it in every circumstance to get better at communication.
나는 경청의 힘을 이해하고 모든 상황에 적용하여 더 나은 소통을 합니다.
I understand the power of listening and apply it in every circumstance to get better at communication.
10억의 빚이라는 최악의 상황에서도 제가 성공할 수 있었던 비결은 성공한 사람들의 마인드를 내 것으로 만든 것입니다. 켈리가 했다면 당신도 무조건 하실 수 있습니다. 켈리가 당신에게 이 성공 비밀을 공유하는 것은 성공을 유지하는 비결 중에 하나입니다. 지금 당장 주변 사람들과 이 성공 비밀을 공유하세요. 좋아요, 구독, 알림 설정은 이 모닝콜을 함께 제작하는 20명이 넘는 재능 기부자들과 켈리에게 큰 힘을 줍니다. 사랑합니다.